So I'm going to bring in. Hey everybody, it's Ian King, founder of King Sports International, athlete advocate and coach educator. Welcome to today's call. Today we're talking with some of the KSI Coaches of Australia, and we are very fortunate to have Kelly Batt from Australia on the call today. Now I know Kelly wasn't always from Australia, but she's going to tell us about her story. And we also have Paul Briggs, also an Australian KSI coach, on the call today. And whilst he is currently working in Australia, he too has some different country origins. So I'll let them tell this story. So, Kelly, let's start with yourself. Tell us about your background. Tell us about your journey in the industry of physical training.
Awesome. So, hey everyone. I started in the health and fitness industry about 8 years ago. I've learned so much since then, and I'm continuing to evolve. Clients have always been my top priority, and supporting and guiding them to be the best. I moved to Australia in 2017, and my main purpose then was setting up a successful business. Over the previous few years, I've worked day, I've worked night to achieve this. And yeah, I have achieved this now. I've built a fantastic community, and I'm really, really grateful for this. So injury prevention has been my first focus with any client that I meet. And I feel that now, and after studying KSI only for a really short time, I have a better understanding of how the body works, how to coach in an efficient manner, the lines of movement and stretching. So overall, my training, when I started in 2013, training programs, imbalances in the body, they were all based on research. And I looked up to a few certain fitness professionals. And I think you do then, you were guided by maybe Instagram followers or people that have a social media influence. And since then, I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from Ian and King Sports over the previous 10 months on trusting my intuition and my instincts. And it's just been fantastic. I was advised about stretching initially that it was bad back 8 years ago. Dynamic warm-ups were a great option. And I heard the word lazy glutes, I think, yeah, so many times. But since working with KSI, again, learning to trust my instinct and intuition, and it's new territory for me, but I am finding it awesome.
Fantastic, Kelly. I appreciate that background. So you were born in the UK?
Yes, born in the UK.
You've done your best to lose that accent a little bit, haven't you?
Have I?
I think so.
Oh, I thought I still have my British accent.
It's still there a little. Fantastic. Well, I appreciate that initial insight. So let's jump to Paul Briggs. And Paul, just give us a little bit of background, your upbringing, your journey in physical preparation.
So I have been involved in the fitness industry. It feels like all my life since I was about 8 years old, I think, and been involved in the fighting arts, and I feel like my journey with KSI now, I feel like I've developed 30 years of knowledge doing what I do, and now I had a gentleman come into my gym who was, looking to be able to work out of the gym, and he said he was a physical preparation coach, and I was like, what is that? And we just had some absolutely phenomenal conversations. His name is Ty Anderson, and the conversations that we had were just incredible. So I thought, I want to learn more about where you've learned all this stuff from. And so he mentioned, of course, your name, Ian. And I was like, hang on a sec, I know Ian King. And then yeah, so it's just sort of, I feel like it's sort of come full circle now in the sense that the more I progress through KSI and the more I learn to, how can I put it? I feel like I've built this incredible structure. I've gone about it a little bit back to front. I feel like I've built this incredible structure, and now I'm coming to build that foundation, if that makes sense, which is a little bit back to front. Usually you build foundation first, and this is what I'm all about with my my boxes. But I'm starting to understand, even through KSI, just how much knowledge I actually do have. And I think I undersold myself a lot, and what would you say? just didn't realize how knowledgeable I was with what I did until I actually started with KSI. And the more I learned through KSI, the more I realized, far out, I actually know a thing or two about what I'm doing. So yeah, it's been an incredible journey for me, although a very short one so far. It's only been about coming up to in August, it'll be a year. No, a little earlier than that. It'll be a year. And although I feel like I've been in it for 10 years. And
well, we actually go back a bit further, don't we, Paul?
Yeah, we do. Like the more I came to learn about KSI and everything, that I realized, hang on a second. As soon as I saw Ian's face, I realized, I remember standing at the front counter of my dad's gym and just listening to one of the most profound conversations between Ian and my father in his gym, and then all the pennies started dropping. And because I remember after you left that day, you know, when you were speaking with my father, I was just like, kept asking my dad, who is that dude? And my dad obviously spoke very highly of you, and you know, I sort of looked up to my father with regards to his knowledge on bodybuilding. And like my dad's 73 now, I think, and he still trains twice a day. Like, it's crazy. And as soon as I mentioned that I was studying KSI and that I was learning from you, he just had a grin that just went from ear to ear, and he said, "That's awesome." So yeah, I feel like I think I was about 14 when.
Well, I think when I first got exposed to you, I don't think you had double digits to your age, Paul.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, I was obviously, I've been introduced to or been around boxing since I was 4 years old. I was first introduced to it in Arnhem Land in the Northern Territory when my father was refereeing a tent fight. And I was sitting at the corner post, sort of looking up, and I had no comprehension of what I was looking at. But I just, like, my breath was taken. I was just like, oh my God, this is my thing. This is what I came here to do. And so come back to today, looking at that whole journey, and to now find obviously all your teachings, Ian, and KSI in general. The only question I've got to ask is really how deep does the rabbit hole go, you know, with regards to KSI? Because, you know, the more I get into it, the more there is to know. And yeah, it's just amazing. And I want to talk a little bit on a slightly different subject with regards to what coaching has done for me too. It's only been a very short time that I've been with KSI, but the way it has changed me as a man has been really profound. The way it's changed me as a coach has been incredible. And the way that I communicate now, right up until this morning, the communications I had with someone who was really, really close to me, I was just sitting there just internally smiling, just thinking, man, I love having a higher level skill with regards to communication. And it's been just an incredible journey, and it's been one that I'm super excited about, especially like my main goal now, especially after meeting John Hazard, is to you know, to be my next world title fight is to be a KSI graduate. So, you know, I've got a few years to go, just like I did with when I was fighting for championship belts in boxing. But I understand how to take this journey, and I'm really excited about it.
Good stuff, Paul, and we appreciate having you as part of our group. I've watched Paul's entire career since I said he was probably younger than 10, and it's been a great journey. It's been great to watch, and there's been a lot of lessons that I've been waiting here for him when he was ready to come and get them. And he's got that level of life experience and maturity. He's coming to get those lessons, and he's been benefiting his people who he influences through the lessons he's learned in life. So really proud of what he's doing there. And obviously, until the coronavirus closed a lot of things down, running, you know, the art of boxing there on the Broad Beach of the Gold Coast. So we've also got Donald Cameron on the call. Donald, can you take yourself off mute? We'd like to hear from you. Yeah, Donald. So Donald's basically from background as a tennis coach out of Emerald, Queensland, and he's come to How many camps have you come to in America with us now, Donald?
3, Ian.
3 times he's chosen to travel across the pond, the big pond, and come into camp with us in our annual camp in America. So real credit for a young man from Emerald. So talk to us about your journey as a coach.
Okay, Ian. Well, I took up coaching about 30 years ago. I thought there's a need for a more technical way of looking at the tennis, and the textbooks were a little bit out of date. So I just got interested in it as just for my own personal use and just in general find out why my shoulder was hurting and all that sort of thing, why I was losing. And so I once I got interested in it and I found out how to teach the tennis, I decided there might be some people that might want to listen to my ideas, and it just grew from there.
Yeah, fantastic. So what inspired you to jump across the pond and come and, like, you've gone to the KSI coaching program, like Paul's a boxing coach, you're a tennis coach.
Yeah. What
inspired you to do what most sports coaches don't do, which is expand your professional development through studying the physical preparation side of it?
Well, I was looking for, searching around for what's the best way to train for many years. And then I came across your theories on physical training. It just made sense. It was like a complete program, which I hadn't seen anywhere else. So once I'd researched what you were doing, it was a no-brainer. I just had to run with it. I wanted to do the best.
Pretty impressed with your commitment to improving yourself as a coach. As I said, we don't have too many people from Emerald coming across to America, let alone 3 times. No. So we're really, really impressed with what Donald's done, and I think his client base there in Emerald should be really, really appreciative of what he brings to the table there, making that effort to go across to America and back. We've also got on the call a few outside of Australian coaches. We've got Wei from now in Malaysia, and we've got Victor from Singapore on the call with us, but we're going to stay focused. We appreciate you being on the call, but we'll stay focused with our Australian coaches. So coming back to you, Kelly, what is it that gets you up in the morning and you just can't wait to get back there into the gym? What are you passionate about in physical preparation?
So I think when I went through level 2, I had a lot of questions about what am I passionate about and what's the best thing? Why do I get up? And that's just to provide the best service for clients and to create the best value that I can give to them. Last year, when I was looking for just a route to take for study, it was very interesting that you popped up on Instagram just randomly on a story from another coach. And I wasn't looking, I didn't necessarily look deeper, but I was thinking, oh, let's maybe click on it and see. And it was just been fantastic, because what I share to clients now and the value that I've given more so over these last 10 months, and Maddie will agree, she's on the call listening in, but what they'll agree is that the value I've given is just doubled and tripled. And I haven't even learned that much, really. It's just been fantastic. So yeah, I get up to provide the best service and the best value to everyone that I work with.
So I think you might be being a little bit British humble, and the Australian culture absorbed that attitude as well, because I've been so impressed with you as a student. Your mind shift changes, your competency changes have been pretty substantial for a coach at the level 2 level. Like, there's something going on there that if you do decide to go further with it, it's going to end up with a pretty special outcome, because you're not your average coach in our program at level 2. You're an above average coach. And the mind shift changes, the realizations you've come to so quickly have allowed you, I believe, to serve your clients better. But why don't we see whether Maddie's willing to talk to us? Maddie, are you happy to come off mute? Can I get you off mute to talk about your coach?
Hello, yes.
And Maddie, you can also share your video if you want. Down the bottom left, say start video. That's it. We got you, Maddie.
Yes. So I've been working with Kelly coming up 2 years in July. Just to start with, of just wanting to be in the gym, but then we moved to being more focused in my volleyball, and just everything that she learned. She comes in every week to training, and she's so excited about what progression she's learned and how she can change and tweak little things in my training to help me be a better athlete. And I've noticed such a change in my movement, in my playing, from just doing those little things, little stretches, little movements, that has really helped me progress to where I want to be in my sport. Fantastic.
We love to hear that, because we know the impact we make. We've been changing the way the world trains for 4 decades now, and we've put more athletes into Olympic uniforms and on podiums in different sports than any other athlete preparation company I'd suggest in the world. So we know how to do it, and we just value having more coaches like Kelly being willing to embrace what we teach and joining us, because we know how much we can help athletes like yourself. So I'm very excited for you in your future. Talk to us about your goals. Where are you going to take volleyball?
Thank you. At the moment, I'm looking to progress like in my team. So I'm in the Brisbane Volleyball League, well, Premier Volleyball League in Queensland. So I'm currently in the top team division. And from that, I want to be on the starting side. So at the moment, I'm sitting on bench. So like progressing into starting side and then moving further into like Queensland squads. And just that being able to get there and work is actually quite challenging. Going through being able to jump higher and faster because our game is changing. So it's good that it was actually interesting to see that all the stuff that we've done in our preparation in reaction and speed actually correlated to how volleyball is changing. So I had a lot of feedback from coaches in my training in volleyball that they noticed changes in my movement, which is very exciting to see.
Yeah,
so hopefully we can make a Queensland squad at the end of the year, maybe.
Great to hear. So let me tell you a little bit of a story. About 30-something years ago, a young girl came to see me. She was 16 years old. She took 2 buses from school to come and see me where I was located at the time. Not bad for a 16-year-old. And she was just a phenomenal young student. She was a dual sport athlete, basketball, volleyball. She got picked up at a Div 1 college in America as a dual sport athlete. And after that, she came back and represented Australia at the 2000 Olympics in volleyball. So it's a fun sport. It's just got to be one of the most enjoyable sports. We play it every year in our August camp. We're not that good at it. Well, some of them are good at it, but it is just a phenomenal sport. So I'm really happy for you to be in such a great sport. And just remember, be yourself, do what, be the player that you want to be, and never get caught up in the imposition of other people on who they think you should be or how good they think you are or you are not. Just back yourself and trust that you do know what you're talking about and you have got an idea about how to play the game. So don't ever get suppressed by other people's opinions. And Paul Briggs is a great example of, Paul's basically risen to the top as a dual sport athlete as well. He's a former world champion in Muay Thai as well as world title contestant in boxing. So Paul knows all about the journey and the self-belief that you need to be a world champion. Paul, you want to share a few thoughts about that?
100%. And this is obviously everything that I work on with my boxers today in the gym. It doesn't matter. You can have a world champion within the body, but that does not mean that they're a world champion within their mind. And I've seen so many fighters that are so gifted, but they'll never get to the top because they just don't have the knowledge that's how good they actually are. And so I think developing that world champion mindset is about your ability to follow through within the training programs, execute those training programs, when it comes to a fight day, and obviously then get the result, that is just basically, 1 + 1 = 2. So within that, the confidence builds. I've been a victim of overconfidence. Confidence that was just based out of pure ego and not the knowledge of what I could actually do, and of also achieved the understanding of drawing that confidence from the actual knowledge that I have and the knowledge of the application of what I can do. Because I had two careers, I was world champion at 19 with Muay Thai, and that's what I class as the opportunity that I had to become a world champion based out of pure ego, where it was a false confidence, if that makes sense. So then when I fought for the world championship in the United States with boxing, that was based on what I had actually, what I knew, because I had nearly 20 years history behind me in training by then. Although I now working with KSI, I was doing everything wrong. I still had the knowledge of rather something. I had the knowledge of what I was capable of rather than the pure belief, if that makes sense. So I think developing that world champion mindset is really based in developing the knowledge of what you can actually do, and the confidence that then builds, because I've never encouraged my fighters to believe in themselves. I've always encouraged them to know what they can do due to the way that they can fulfill the training protocols in the gym, and then go out into the ring and then execute those protocols. So I think developing that world champion mindset, especially from from a young person's perspective, it's just about those building blocks every single day that you're laying. I say to my fighters all the time, in 1 week we've laid a line, in a month we've built a wall, in a year we've created the whole structure of a building. And what I'm talking about there is purely from that mindset. So you build your mindset one brick at a time, I believe, and well, I know you build the mindset one brick at a time, and that's really about you being able to trust in what you know rather than even believing in yourself.
And the great thing about Paul is the opportunity that exists in sport when some athletes might be more genetically gifted, but they don't have the same drive, they don't have the same self-belief, or they don't have the same commitment to finding out where the weaknesses lie to improve them, etc., etc. So my attitude is I don't care what you come to the table with. What you leave from the table is what matters. And any athlete with the right drive, with the right belief, with the right guidance can really excel and even surprise themselves about how great they can be. And that's that's our vision for the athlete. We want them to not only fulfill their potential, we want them to exceed their own expectations. I appreciate Paul's contribution from a legitimate dual sport champion attitude. So, Donald, what gets you up in the morning? What drives you in your work as a coach? Just need to come off mute, Donald. Got you, Donald. You're off mute now.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, Ian, I actually like being a student. That's what started it all off. I actually just like learning how to play and play better and learning stuff. And so that's a big part of it, or else I wouldn't be teaching. And then once you learn something, it's you as a student, I know what it's like to want to learn. So I assume there's people out there that also want to be students and want the best. So that's what motivates me.
Yeah, I like that certainly drove me in the early days, because I just wanted to go there and learn for myself. And then what I learned, others wanted to learn from me. I said, okay, well, I'll teach you. So I began teaching from day one, not because I wanted to be a teacher, but because I'd obviously discovered something of value that other people wanted to benefit from as well. And that's all we do. All we do is help. As KSI coaches, all we do is helping people, be they athletes, be they general population. It doesn't matter what your pursuit is. It's the same philosophy. We're here to help you. We're here to help you be the best you can be. We're not a cheer squad. We're not going to motivate you. We provide inspiration, the role model that we are. But at the end of the day, it's got to come from within. And if you want to go down that journey, we're more than happy to guide you. And that's some of the big differences. So I appreciate those insights from you, Donald. So Kelly, what are some of the breakthroughs that you've had in your understanding of the body or how to train that you think have really served your clients and will serve them for the decades to come?
I think for the decades to come, I put two down, and two came to my head purely based on stretching, what stretches would benefit each person individually, because everyone's so very different. And that's something I've learned over the last 10 months, even more so than what I did before. But not just that. And the other one that I was kind of tying up between the two is learning for my clients to be not reliant on me.
Good girl.
That's something that's, to be honest, that might even overtake stretching, to be fair. Listening to my clients, not them listening to me. Me actually probably being quiet a little bit more. So for me on this call now today, I'm trying to be a little bit more, not so excited. And everyone knows this about me. I'm always so very excited.
There's nothing wrong with passion. There's nothing wrong with excitement.
But listening to my clients, educating them on how to move, but asking them to how are they feeling, and knowing that the answer lies within them, really. More so.
Great stuff. And that concept of empowerment, we're here to empower people, not to disempower them. We're here to create independence, not dependence. So you've really captured the spirit of what we teach. Really well done there. And the subject of flexibility, I mean, we can talk about flexibility forever, but isn't it just amazing how, and you know this from a personal experience, how you know, post 1995, thereabouts, there was a global switch that was flicked, that stretching become bad. You couldn't do it, blah, blah, blah. No one did it. And then, you know, you get sucked into that, and then you go out one day and you say, well, maybe I should learn for myself what it would be like to actually stretch. And you do it and you say, oh my God, the light bulbs.
Yeah. Well, when I had I had back pain a few years ago, and before I was studying KSI, and I went to a few health professionals, and they told me I couldn't do things, to leave things out, to not do stretches. It's just crazy what I have learned so far as to how to help my clients, but also myself. And yeah, it's unbelievable.
It's hard to understand, but at the end of the day, we're not here to be dogmatic. We're not here to argue. We're not here to convince. We've discovered a certain way. We're surprised that others haven't discovered the way themselves, but it's a choice. Life's full of choices. But if they would like to, you know, consider different ways, then we can guide them, because we're pretty happy. I mean, the role of flexibility as a person gets older rises. It rises, and it's important. It rises in its relevance. So this isn't going away. This topic isn't going to go away. This is a topic that people should really embrace, you know, from our perspective. So I'm proud of the fact that you're able to empty your cup from the prior paradigms and, you know, consider a new possibility and learn from your own personal experience. I think it was Buckminster Fuller, and it might have been even Emerson. There's so many philosophers have talked about learning from your own personal experience is far more important than embracing someone else's paradigm. So I'm really proud of what you've done in terms of changing your thoughts and then changing your habits.
And I think learning from you as well, in terms of trusting my instinct and intuition, and not just going with what research says and this is how you should do it. Because everyone I work with now, and they're also individual, and everybody's so different down to programming, and it's just so interesting. And that's what I love. It's just so interesting.
Great to hear. Now, you know, we respect the contribution of science, but at the end of the day, we can't expect a scientific study to be done on that person over a 10-year period. Like, it's just not going to happen. So we have to step up and fill that void. And I think the influences of, say, Taoism and other philosophies such as that are really beneficial to take on board when respecting your intuition. You have certain very powerful thoughts to bring to the table, as do your clients. Let's not suppress them. Let's not undervalue them. Let's not tell them that they're meaningless because, you know, some form of science. And I think in some ways we've allowed science to become the new religion in terms of shaping thinking. And I'm not criticizing either of them. I'm just saying we need to respect, or an individual needs to know the power of their own thoughts, and rather than feel that their thoughts aren't of value. So really...
Can I jump in on that, Ian?
Yes, Paul.
I just want to back up what Kelly was saying. And I'll tell you something interesting. Doing what I've been doing, like... What I'm doing has been magnified. It's like someone's put it on turbocharge since I started trusting my own instincts around training, because for so long I've thought I've had all these whacked out weird ideas around how boxers could train or should train or might train or whatever. And since starting with KSI, one of the greatest things that I've gained, I think, is what you just said, Kelly, the ability to be able to trust my intuition. And since doing that and making the decisions based out of what my gut says, it's just profound. The awakenings, that's the only word I can use, the awakenings that I'm having around training. And it's something that my boxers and I share together. It's not something that I go, in my mind. It's like, we're learning together, and as we come on to these different things, and we're looking at one another smiling, going, oh my gosh, look at what's just happened, you know, because in me being able to trust my own instincts, I'm setting the example for them. And when they come to me and they say, hey, coach, what about this? I say, well, what do you think? Mm-hmm. You know, and that in itself is so powerful, because I used to say, well, what do I think? Well, this is what I think, blah, 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 and let me impress you with what I know. It's all BS, you know. Like, now when they come to me and they say, hey, coach, what do you think about this? I'll just go, how's it work? What do you think? What are you getting out of it? In the application, what are you learning? You know, like, my whole questioning has changed, which is incredible. So, Paul, what are one or two things that you've talked about intuition? Is there one other thing that you can really think that you've changed in the way you coach as a result of the KSI education that's changed the outcome and the impact on the people you influence in training? So I can tell, and I'm very astute at watching my boxers when they come walking up the stairs of my gym now. I will look at their body, and their body screams at me as to where they're at. So when they walk in and I say, hey, how are you? I already know. They don't even have to answer me because I've watched them walk up the stairs. I've watched them walk across where they shake my hand. And me asking them, how are you? It's more now I'm inquiring into just how connected they are to their own body as to their ability to articulate what I already see. And one or two of them kind of can. I'll see where they're at, and as they're walking up, they'll start to articulate already and validate what I already see, which is amazing. It's incredible because then that that dictates where the session is going to go. I think the biggest permission slip, I'll call it, that I have gained from KSI is, and I do this often, my fighters will walk up the stairs and we'll have set, obviously set programs within their, especially when they're in the SPP, where I'll watch them all walk up the stairs and they'll all kind of walk in the gym in a very similar way. And I'll say, okay, today's session, we're stretching. And they'll just go, oh, yes, like this, like I've just said, we're going to have a full-on sparring session because that's how they react when I say we're sparring. They always want to spar, which is amazing. The best way to learn a sport is to play the sport. But when they come walking up those stairs and I just say to them, guys, today we're going to roll and stretch. We're going to reduce tension and create length. And they're just like, yes, amazing. So the ability that I have now to have over the last year shifted my boxers' thinking around what stretching actually is, which was took a little bit for them to embrace. That now they see it as a training session. My personal clients now, I had one that I trained yesterday, and he finished the session. The whole session was really intense stretching, and he's finishing, wiping his face off, he's dripping from the chin with sweat, and he said, man, if when I came to you, if you said to me, for the first 3 months, all we're going to be doing is stretching, he said, I probably would have turned around and walked back out the door. I said, Paul, who? Like, what? This isn't what I was told you're about, but he said, now going on how my body feels, like he said, I can touch my toes. I can get through, like this guy owns a massive cleaning company. And so he's very busy and spends a lot of time sitting in his car driving, and just checking on different jobs and all the rest of it. So his hip flexors are crazy the way they tighten up because forever he's sitting in a car doing this, So his hip flexors, his lower back, his glutes, all these different areas that we work on before we even get into, we've only just passed that 3-month part where he's actually learning how to stand as a boxer. So we haven't, for the first 3 months now with my clients, they don't even throw a punch. They purely stretch, and in the stretching we get to communicate around all sorts of different ideas, what they think training is, what they think training could be for them, what they think they could get out of training, just all these different things. So I swear by stretching now. Like I'm the biggest advocate for it.
Good man. And I know there's many athletes who will appreciate that and show their gratitude as they go into their later years of life and throughout their career, that you've guided them in that direction, because it's certainly a politically incorrect thing to do at this point in time, or socially incorrect, one of the two, or both. So I appreciate that, Paul. So Donald, any breakthroughs that you think have really served your clients? Any breakthroughs in the way you think about training and performance?
Okay, well, a lot of my training at the moment is still tennis. So I'm getting clients who are interested in better movement, and and that's actually easier. It's funny enough, teaching physical training is actually, I find it very easy for them to respond to the changes that I make. Tennis, actually, funny enough, even though I'm doing it longer, actually is they find it difficult to handle changes, the young ones, because it feels very awkward. Tennis is you can get the ball in any way you like. Mm-hmm. So that's a challenge, but I'm finding I'm able to handle it better by listening to what they want and the words I'm using, be able to get them through that sort of over that hump. The fact that they can get the ball in with the technique they're using, and make it worthwhile changing their technique, even though the results aren't immediate. So I'm just the words I'm using makes it easier to come over that challenge.
Excellent. And we've got so much time on communication, as you know. That's a major focus in our coach education. So I'm hoping that if we have a question from anyone on the group here, and we've got quite a few people in the background there, that if they've got a question for any of the coaches, so I've sent out that invitation to put up your hand, so to speak, and raise that question, because if you don't, I've certainly got one or two questions. So find a way to get your voice heard. I've got a question for Kelly. So Kelly, you've got formal education, you've got informal education. Now, formal education is pretty straightforward. You pick out a university or a college and you go to it. But informal education, you've got a lot more choices. It's a lot more diverse, and there's a lot more noise in the market. Now, you can stumble upon something as you did, but it still takes a reason. It still takes some motivation to even step up to see what it's like. So what were you thinking when you signed up for your first coach course with us? Like, be honest with me. Like, what were the emotions? What triggered it?
I think there was something that I always get these little, I get these little pushes with everything I've done in my career for training or whatever work. I get these little kind of do it. I don't know. I just get told to do it in my mind. And I just thought this is meant to be. And I looked at so many other courses and I was like, oh, no, I don't feel like it. And then this one came up, and honestly, so about me, I really want to learn. Like I love to have things to achieve for, and to know that I can always develop and bring new things to clients. So that's one thing I was looking for last year. But when I saw this come up, I don't know, I just really had the instinct to do it.
So it resonated with you. For whatever reason, it resonated with you when you looked at it.
I think it's because I like having an end goal as well. So I like to work towards something. I don't just want to be told it. I don't just want to have it in a week or 2 weeks. I want in a couple of years time to be like, okay, I've really achieved something and I believe in it. There's so many.
Always keen to learn what attracts great people like yourself, because we love to have great people like yourself involved. And so we're keen to understand how and why we managed to do that. So
I did a few other courses. I did just in like CECs over here in Australia, and I didn't really pick up much from it. And if I did, I just got told how to do programming, or I got told what to look out for. And all I found since doing level 0 to now is that I believe in myself a lot more. So this course has enabled me to trust myself. And instead of just thinking, oh no, I should do it like this, or it should be like this, because I've never, and Maddie and a few other people on the call will understand that I never say things as right or wrong, because I don't like to label it as that, because there's always things that can be taken from it, and it's just an opinion. And that's what I liked about this course, is that I have come such a long way in myself, as well as brought that to clients.
Absolutely. So when you got into that level 1 course, were you really surprised by what was in it? Like, you went from having no real background of what was on the table to opening up your level 0 course, so to speak. And what was your first thoughts when you opened up the level 0 course?
I was really excited. And then when I started some of the things initially seemed so simple. I think I've overcomplicated things in the past so much more. And maybe that's because I never really believed in it. It just felt so simple, like just to do stretch. I know it's not simple now that I've got to level 3. I'm like, whoa, next level. But initially it was, oh, wow, is that what the foundation is? And maybe it just resonated with me. And maybe I've always really believed in those things and felt those things, but never had the confidence in myself to be able to use it.
Well, whatever the reason was, I'm very happy, because like we have people coming through the course, but we really don't know enough about them until they step up. And when they step up like you have, and they get excited about what they're doing and they express the real life impact it's had on them, we say, okay, we're going to take notice of this person, because we're here to make a difference, and we don't know we make a difference unless you talk to us. And in your exam submissions, you've really made it clear to us the impact you've had. So I really appreciate you being in the group.
It's been awesome. And it's not just about connecting with a client. I think it's about, and what I've learned from KSI so far, it's about myself and belief in myself and my development. And I think I've always put that aside. Like I said, business has always been fantastic and clients, and I love the community, but I think investing time into myself has been key.
Well, I'm looking forward to us chatting more down as you grow, because I'm excited to learn more from you. We've got a question out of our live Facebook feed from Ivan. Ivan has asked, his question has been thinking about his 3-year-old grandson. Is it appropriate to start him in the habit of stretching as part of his play? So a 3-year-old, what do we do with your 3-year-old with stretching? So I'm going to probably jump in on that one a little bit, if that's okay with the group. What I teach is that stretching at that age group should be taught as a habit. But if we teach it as an imposition, we will lose them. So at the age of 3, they're not lacking in flexibility. They're not suffering from lack of flexibility. So what I would typically do with a 3-year-old is provide no formal guidance, but let them see an adult role model. So I would ultimately like to see a 3-year-old run onto the field, hanging around, playing on the playground beside someone who's out there stretching, run on, jump on them, play on them. You know how kids play on you, and then go away. They might mimic your movement for 30 seconds, and that's it. That's all I expect. The attention span of a 3-year-old for anything other than play-based activity is incredibly short. So yes, the concept of the concept of learning the habit, absolutely, but not in a formal planned expectation. Let that evolve organically, but primarily expose them to role models. So I can give an example. My kids have grown up seeing me stretch, and not only stretch, in the gym or around the house, they've seen me stretch every sporting event that I go to as a spectator. Where there's space, I'm down there. And the longer the sport, the better. Like some of our kids complain about the length of a cricket game. I love a long cricket game because I can stretch for so many hours. So that's what a kid needs to see. A kid's going to be influenced by the role models presented. I know Paul would relate to this, but Paul was influenced by his father's commitment to not only training, but specifically to the combat sports. So for me, the greatest impact we can have on a young athlete is model behaviors. Actually, Paul's got a funny story, because Paul's dad was back in the days when there wasn't this rubbish out that's stretching bad. So Paul's dad's a pretty smart trainer. He's pretty intuitive, done some great things in his own way. And he would stretch, and he would tell Paul as a young man, Paul, go and stretch. Now, Paul, you tell this story. This is too good. Because it's gone full circle, hasn't it, Paul?
It has. Actually, you brought it to my attention. I almost forgot. As a young man, all you want to do is whatever it is that you're doing, And for us, we just wanted to get in the ring. And I've got a twin, so I was born with a sparring partner. And all we wanted to do was get in the ring and bash one another. Yet my father would always say, you make sure you stretch. As we would be walking down the back of the gym, guys, make sure you stretch. Yeah. As a younger man, you can get away with it, but then as you get older, things get tighter. And it's so much easier to do whatever it is that you want to do when you can actually move. Like it's logical. It just makes logical sense. If you get a rock and try and manipulate a rock, you got Buckley's chance. You get an elastic band and try and manipulate that, it'll go wherever you want it to go. So my father had a gentleman from Belgium who, I'll never forget this guy. We called him the elastic band. And he would come out to my father. We lived on a property at that point in my life. And when we owned the gym, one of the gyms that Ian came to. And this guy was just phenomenal. He gets stand at a tree and just put his foot directly straight up. And I remember having a chat with him and say, how do you get so bendy? And he said, it's a discipline. It's something you do every day. And I was just like, how boring. How can you possibly just sit there and just stretch and do nothing else? And that's it. And it's funny being, 45 years old now and just thinking, I couldn't think of anything better.
So full circle, Paul, full circle. Yeah. There was an incident recently with your dad. Tell that story. You went back and you said, Dad, I've discovered this new thing called stretching. And he looked at you.
Yeah, I went to Dad and I said, hey, you're never going to guess what's going on now and what the key thing is and what I love so much. He goes, what's that? And I said, stretching. And he just went, that was it. He just smiled. It was just like, oh, and I sort of looked off into the distance like, oh my God. You could see him just think, the cogs turning him thinking, how many times have I told you that? You know, my dad's 73. He trains twice a day still. And one of those training sessions is stretching. So he's got a chest that I would kill to have. You know, and he's 73 years old. So like I'm a convert now. And I know I'm preaching to the convert at the moment, but like it's such a big thing. And what's so profound about it is this: it is the secret weapon. Like if you want a secret weapon, if you want kryptonite to be able to kill all competitors, stretching is it. It just is. And I laugh at it now and just think, man, it's something that I've had in front of me since I was a young man, and dismissed it because it was boring, or it took time, or I wasn't interested in it, or it didn't feel good, or it didn't gratify my immediate whims. So yeah, I'm really passionate about it now, and anyone even remotely close to me is too now.
Yeah, it's a great story. I laughed at that because it's a story that took about 30 years to unfold, I'm guessing. And I know what it'd been like for Dad, because you tell your kids something and that doesn't always sink in, and someone else tells them something. But it doesn't matter where in your cycle you grab it. Obviously, if an athlete can grab it earlier, then they have a benefit from it earlier. But the bottom line is, we place a pretty high value on it. And we appreciate all the coaches in our program because they're out there spreading the message. And we know our athletes will be dominant. We know our athletes will fulfill their potential. We know our athletes will have a better quality of life after their competitive days are over. And we know all general purpose people will benefit, because that which is refined in the heat of battle will always serve. One of the greatest contributors to injury rehabilitation in the general population is what the surgeons and the medical staff learn from a war. And I'm not glorifying war, but I'm just saying, what we learn in the heat of battle really does serve society, and that's where we've tested these methods through working with athletes in such a diverse range of sports globally.
And I want to jump in there just quickly, Ian. There's I had 109 fights in my career. At the end of my career, I was a mess, and you've worked on my body, and now I feel better now than I have ever felt throughout my whole career, and I'm a lot older now than what I was when I was active. So when I was competing, and it's purely due to stretching, and I'm the journey. I'll tell you something interesting. The pelvic tilt has been over 1 year such an incredible journey for me. Just that one tiny little movement, what I can see that do to the top of my quad, and what I can feel that do, to the top of my quad, which then, affects my glute and hamstring and that sort of thing. Just that in and of itself is absolutely profound. And I know some may and some may not understand what I'm sort of talking about with that, but stretching is an incredible journey. And a conversation I had with you, Ian, quite a little while ago about breathing patterns as well, whilst stretching is something that I've really been exploring, and it just opens up a whole nother can of worms with regards to stretching.
It's great when you see an athlete who's achieved at the top of the game still willing to learn new tricks, so to speak, because they're saying the old dog, you can't teach them new tricks. Well, that's not true, and we celebrate the opportunity. Anyone wants to improve themselves and become better, whether it's during their career as a kid, et cetera, it's just great to see them take advantage of the opportunities that exist to become better. So I want to express my gratitude for all the coaches in our program, and specifically all the coaches that are on the call here. I want to thank particularly Kelly and Paul for coordinating this call with me today. And it's just, listen, the enjoyment that I get, the fulfillment I get, the reward I get from seeing you develop, because I know that as you develop, you go out and you touch 1,000 people or 2,000 people in your career. So it helps us impact the world and change the world far more better than me just being the only person, or maybe it's just being my voice. It's not my voice. It's the voice of everybody in our coaching program. So I want to thank you for that, and we look forward to sharing the message with more people who are looking for a new and better way to train. And it's a lifelong impact where we're looking at it from a holistic perspective to change the way you live and change the quality of your life. So we are going to wrap it up now. I just want to thank also all our guests and all the other coaches from the other countries that are also on the call. Appreciate your attendance. Trust you all found value in it, and looking forward to the feedback through your coaches if you're a guest, and directly from yourself. Otherwise, just appreciate your, tell me your story. I love to hear the success stories that you get from working with our coaches. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you, and it's been awesome. And thanks for inviting me.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Don. Appreciate it.